Hi there, welcome to IndeCar, back on its original page today for the first time in many days. Now, it's interesting to note that, forgive me for 1 second, I'll get this light out of my eyes. It's interesting to note that Scotland's cause, if you like, has been largely deserted by its own political support. The SNP, the Greens, and Independence for Scotland Party, all unable really at the moment to do very much to advance the cause of Scotland's liberation. However, Salvo, Scotland's only, if you like, legal organisation which exists to promote the peaceful liberation of Scotland, if you like, to actually argue the case for Scotland being decolonised, is holding a meeting tomorrow at the Pearce Institute in Govan. Now, this ostensibly is actually a completely free public meeting at which a new documentary will be shown titled The Union on Trial. This is the first of many showings, public showings of this documentary, which basically looks at the history of the Union, its legality or otherwise, and the effect that it's had on Scotland over the last 318 odd years. But also looks at how Scotland has been exploited, the way that democracy has been denied to the Scots by being part of the Union, and looks at how we might escape from it in the future. Now, as I said, this meeting is free. It's at the Pearce Institute tomorrow. That's the 23rd of March, Govan Road, Glasgow, starting at 2:30 p.m. You're welcome to come along. Anybody can come along. There is no admission fee. You don't have to have any political affiliation at all. If you're interested in the topic, just come along. At the end of the showing, there will be a question and answer session, a general discussion. There is no particular structure to this meeting. The idea is really just to see how people react to this documentary and to answer their questions afterwards. There will, of course, be many more showings of this documentary in the coming months. Salvo will be organising those, I hope, across the rest of the country. Keep watching this programme for more details. Now, moving away from the political scene for a moment, to a new law which is being enacted in Scotland from the 1st of April. The Scottish Government and the Green Party have fought long and hard to change the rules on the poisoning and the killing of what you might call apex predators. So these are birds of prey, golden eagles, ospreys, falcons, which have been systematically eradicated, destroyed, poisoned, trapped, shot by presumably those who manage grouse moors. Now, I'm not saying, I'm not accusing any particular wildlife organisations or landowners of this particular crime, but various birds of prey have gone missing, and in one case a golden eagle which was tagged with a satellite tracker mysteriously vanished and was never found. Neither was the tracker, so it's presumed that that bird was also destroyed by people unknown. However, this new law will turn that into a crime. It also means that landowners who are engaged in the so-called sport of grouse shooting will have to make careful surveys of the grouse lands that they control, of the moorland that they control, because they now have to identify areas of ancient peatland which have to be protected from things like back burning. And muir burning was traditionally done, and has been done for hundreds of years, by grouse shooting estates as a way of burning back the old heather and promoting new growth. Unfortunately, this damages peatlands really severely, and it also completely destroys the nesting habitats of many wild birds, not just raptors, but just simply wild birds. And of course, it's denuded the Scottish countryside of all other wildlife except for grouse. But not only the raptors are affected by this law, but also foxes and other predators of a land-based nature, I suppose. And so things like glue traps, believe it or not, there is a thing called a glue trap, which is basically a tray of extremely sticky glue, presumably with some sort of bait on it, which is used to attract particularly, I suppose, raptors, birds of prey and other animals, and they get stuck to it. These are considered to be very cruel because the animals eventually die of hunger and exposure or are picked off by other predators. So those are being banned. Also banned are snares. which are loops of wire designed to trap and entangle animals, which also then usually die rather painful deaths of either starvation, or they bleed to death, or they're simply eaten by other animals. So all of these cruel methods of trapping and controlling wild creatures on our moorlands are going to be banned by law. Now, of course, the hunting, shooting and fishing folk amongst us, most notably the Tory party, were completely against this, but of course it passed in Holyrood quite easily, with only the Tories actually objecting to it. And of course the landowning classes, those with the tweed jackets and the 12-bore shotguns, are up in arms about this, because they're now going to have to actually work to prove that they are not destroying wildlife habitats or backburning peat bogs, which trap enormous amounts of carbon dioxide, and their backburning risks releasing that carbon dioxide back into the atmosphere, quite apart from the damage it does to the habitat of all the other wildlife which are not grouse. So this is a good news story for Scotland. Chris Packham, the naturalist and animal rights campaigner, has actually classified this as, or characterised this as, a game changer, and shows that Scotland is leading the way when it comes to animal welfare and protecting the wildlife still left in Scotland's rather denuded and barren landscape, which has been created for the pleasure of the wealthy landowners and their chums with the 12-bore shotguns. Moving back briefly to politics for a moment, and I noticed that Salvo has reported that there have been problems with the website of Liberation Scotland. Liberation Scotland will be Scotland's first ever liberation organisation, an organisation of civilians, of just ordinary people, who, when they join this organisation, are basically signing up to the peaceful and civil methods of protesting our continued colonisation and campaigning for the decolonisation of Scotland, so that it can return to its original state of being an independent nation, which of course is what it should have been all along. But unfortunately, the Liberation Scotland website has been attacked, presumably by British hackers or British spooks of some kind, and there's certainly some very suspicious activity with ghost sites and spoof sites being created by actors unknown to divert people away from signing up. So if you would like to join Liberation Scotland, you can still do so on their website, but the organisers are recommending that you use a VPN, a virtual private network. Now, these are available online almost anywhere. You can buy a VPN for just a few pounds a month, and that would protect you from this kind of activity and allow you to sign up safely. If you can't afford a VPN, or you don't really understand how to use that, you can of course go to the website, find out the actual address and send your application in the post, and that cannot be interfered with electronically. So there are many ways to join Liberation Scotland. The liberation movement is hoped eventually to become so large that it will be possible to make legal representations to the International Court of Justice and the United Nations in the future, claiming Scotland's right to self-determination, and getting a ruling which would force the British government to allow Scotland to have a vote on this, and basically to say, you can't stop democracy, which is what has been denied to us for 318 years, or more or less. Anyway, that's about it from IndeCar today, but I thought it was worth pointing out to you that tomorrow, the 23rd of March, you can see the first showing in Glasgow, I believe, of this new documentary, The Union on Trial, from 2:30 tomorrow afternoon at the Pearce Institute in Govan Road in Glasgow. And also just bear in mind now that the wealthy landowners and the incredibly wealthy people who go grouse shooting and are doing so much damage to the rest of the natural world in the Highlands are now being forced by Scottish law to start doing things right. Now, they will still be, of course, permitted to have grouse moors and grouse shooting, but they're going to have to stop trapping birds of prey and other small creatures with all of these cruel devices, and they're going to have to stop backburning peat bogs, and that's going to put them to considerable trouble. That cannot be a bad thing. Anyway, that's it from IndeCar today. I'll see you all again later in the week. And as ever, please, if you can afford to, please make a donation. It always helps the channel. The link is in the description. So, as I always say, keep the faith. Independence will be along soon, but it's going to be up to us, the population of Scotland, to join Liberation Scotland and actually make this happen. I'll see you soon. Bye for now.